If you're doubting your intuition, watch this. All right, so as spiritual seekers, we gaslight ourselves a lot. Usually we're drawn to spirituality either because we want to stop suffering or we've become aware of something that's kind of curious, that's calling us. For some of us, that means we're empaths. For others, that means we're mystical misfits like myself. For others, we've seen other worlds or other possibilities or potentialities that just don't kind of fit the mold of the time-space status quo that we were incarnated into. But the cool thing that at least I've experienced, and I think a lot of my students have, is when you start to meet other mystical misfits like yourself, you realize that your experiences are actually not so uncommon. So in this video, we'll be exploring what the intuition is, where it fits with the other parts of our soul or ourselves, and how to actually access it more. I'll be teaching you a couple really helpful tools to learn to connect to it, trust it, and actually grow your intuition. This will be especially helpful if you're a tarot reader, healer, psychic, any of those things, and that's how we met. But even beyond that, just in life in general, this will be super helpful. Let's do a quick exercise. I want you to sit down and I want you to just notice where your body is. Just notice where your body is. Okay, it's right here, but literally notice where it is. Feel the top of your head and then bring it all the way up, bring your awareness all the way down your body, scan your body, and notice the bottom of your feet. Same thing, right to left. Notice the right side of your body from your right shoulder, bring it all the way to the left part of your shoulder. You can see where you exist locally in space, right? Where the body is, right? If you can't, please call someone for help. No, I was just kidding. Here we are. We know where the body is, right? And this is really good for, especially if you're following my channel, chances are you need grounding. So let's ground a little bit. Notice where the body is. Notice where you are in space. All right, great. Now I want you to look for where your mind is and see what shows up there. This is a tough one, right? Notice where your mind is. Just like you observe the body, notice where your mind is. Now, I want you to look at your thoughts as if they're just really, really subtle sensations. Let's say you have a thought about your right shoulder. Where is that thought? See if you can find that in space. You might not be able to find it in space. Maybe you can. Maybe you can find it in time. You can feel the thought coming, and then you could feel it dissipating as your mind goes somewhere else. So notice how it's a lot harder to find where your mind or where your thoughts are in space as opposed to your body. It's kind of weird, right? Even though your thoughts are really just super, super, super subtle sensations. I mean, you might point to your forehead. I don't know. Maybe you do feel your thoughts around here. That's valid. Okay, now I want you to see where you can find your intuition. Where is the intuition? You might have you might be able to locate it, but I find for a lot of people, it's kind of tough to locate. And I feel like the highest form of the intuition is not as local as everything else. It's not as local as the mind or the body. So it's somehow remote. It's somehow transcending the body and the mind. So if you study any of the great mystical traditions or spiritual paths, usually there's some type of model, a path metaphorically upwards, but more a path towards truth, towards our universality, towards oneness, right? And it usually starts with the body and then goes into the mind and then goes beyond the mind into, some call it the spirit, but I don't use that word, intuition, you might say, and then beyond intuition. So the model I have here is based off of some of my favorite mystical traditions, including Hermetic Kabbalah, astrology, tarot, and even some of the Vedic traditions and some Neoplatonism as well. I'm always adding more to this thing, so by the time you see it, it'll even have more things to it. But here's what we got so far. The green area is the physical body. We know where that is in space, right? Hopefully. The yellow area is the mind, which is much harder to find locally. I would say it's much more subtle. The blue area is a little bit closer to the intuition. And so what's important to notice here is that the intuition transcends the mind, but includes the mind. So it's kind of like Russian dolls. We have our body here, and then our body exists within the mind here, and then the mind here exists within the intuition. Notice I'm exploring this spatially, but it's actually transcends time and space. That's a whole nother lecture. So if the intuition, now here's where we're really going to define intuition. So this is important. So if we know that the intuition here transcends the body in green and the mind in yellow, but includes both of them, that means both the body in green and the mind in yellow are at the disposal of the intuition. Yes, the intuition is a complex utilization of both body and mind. So in Kabbalah, we have these 4 parts of the soul that are attributed to the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton That is the nefesh, the ruach, the neshama, and the kia. The ruach is the mind, the intellect. The nefesh is the body, the animal soul. And the neshama kind of contains them, or at least transcends them both. In the tarot, the intuition is represented by the queens, and then the logical intellect, the mind, is represented by the kings, or sometimes the princes, or sometimes the knights, and then the body is represented by the pages or the princesses. And by the way, if you want this guide to follow along, you can download it at tarotmysticismacademy.com/e-books, or just hit the link in the description. There's a digital version available now, but if you are subscribed to my mailing list, you will be the first person to know when we make the physical version available. So the important thing to know is that the intuition includes both the mind and the body. That's why when you have intuitive hits, a lot of times you might experience a somatic feeling, like the body will do something. It might get heavy, it might get light, it might feel excited. Like that's why people say, like, trust your gut, because it's literally your gut that is feeling something and trying to tell you something, right? With all the neurons and neural connections of the gut and the brain. But sometimes it's not the body. Sometimes it's actually just the mind. The intuitive hit arises through an image or an idea or all the clairs that people have, right? Clairvoyance, can't pronounce the rest of them. So this makes the intuition a pretty large thing, being something that incorporates both mind and body. Actually, I want to bring up an amazing esoteric teacher named Manly P. Hall, who wrote The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Manly P. Hall is a 33rd degree Freemason who has a bunch of talks you can find probably online. And in one of his talks, he talks about the intuition as this inner coordinator, as this part of our soul that takes all of our senses, all our five senses and beyond, brings them in and kind of makes sense of them in this really efficient and sophisticated way. And that's really what the intuition does. It's part of our subconscious process of taking in information and making sense out of it before the conscious mind can kind of catch up. And that leads me into the next part about the intuition and how to grow your intuition. The key to intuition is receiving. I'm actually going to go into the tarot to help explain this because I know a lot of you are tarot enthusiasts like myself, and so this will make sense to you. Okay, pop quiz. Put in the comments below what suit of the tarot best represents the intuition. Is it wands and fire? Is it cups and water? Is it swords and air? Or is it pentacles and earth? Which element, which suit of the tarot best represents intuition? Put your comment below. If you chose the suit of cups, you are correct. Why does the suit of cups represent intuition? It's because the suit of cups represents the first he, the second letter of the name of God, the Holy Tetragrammaton, which represents the neshama, the intuition, and also the creative world. This is, for all intents and purposes, the divine feminine. And intuition is historically, symbolically, a feminine function. So even if we want to completely remove these maybe antiquated terms, I'm just talking about it now because of the history of where the stuff comes from. Okay, so don't kill the messenger. The intuition is all about form, just in the same way as all the feminine deities are all about form. Why is that? Because historically, the female image archetypally gives birth, is the threshold from into life and death, into duality, right? So intuition is all about things arising kind of suddenly, maybe spontaneously, getting new information. To have information, you need form, you need a label, you need a title, you need something that shows up as opposed to nothing. Something always requires duality. So the suit of cups and the element of water represents this duality. Why? Because a cup is a vessel. A vessel takes from the oceanic consciousness of everything and pulls it apart from the rest of the water. Vessels represent separation. Also, the element of water represents emotion and empathy and how we reflect and connect with the other. That's why the suit of cups is all about relationships and love. It's about form. It's about otherness. It's about duality. But there's another suit that is also considered a feminine suit, which is the suit of pentacles. So suit of wands and suit of swords are obviously masculine suits because they are phallic. The suit of cups and the suit of pentacles are considered feminine suits. The suit of pentacles is about the body. Both of these suits have to do with receiving. The suit of cups is about receiving emotionally, and the suit of pentacles is about receiving materially with the body. They're very linked, and so is the body and intuition. Now that you understand the elements of intuition, primarily earth and water, I'm going to start teaching you how you can actually use this knowledge to strengthen your intuition and trust it. So if you're a head tripper like me, you like to overthink. And a lot of my students in Tarot Mysticism Academy, they are head trippers. They are thinkers. They are creatives. They are imaginatives. They have a lot going on in their inner world, which is why they have such a sophisticated understanding of tarot and such a hunger to explore it, because there's so much there. There's so much to explore. The problem and the challenge with head tripping is that it can remove us from our body. It can remove us from the present moment, right? So the mind and the ego is not always, but semi-coterminous with time. The mind and ego, it takes the same shape and area as time, whereas time is this imaginary division between what is yesterday and tomorrow, which is not real, right? Time is not real. The mind does that as well. It kind of sets these imaginary arbitrary separations onto reality through which we experience everything. And it's useful that it does that. So, and if you want to learn ways to undo the mind, watch my playlist on mysticism and non-duality. I'll link it in the description below. But anyway, the mind is an engine of time. That's where time comes from. It's the mind's divisive quality, like the suit of swords. It divides, it cuts. And in doing so, it can take us out of the present moment. The present moment being the suit of cups. The suit of swords, by the way, comes between the suit of cups and the suit of pentacles. And for all my tarot geeks out there and teachers and fellow tarot YouTubers, please just remember that this is the correct order of the suits. It starts with wands, and then cups, and then swords, and then pentacles. Yes, there is a correct order of your suits, and that is it, and I will explain it in another video. Anyway, actually, I'll partially explain it here. So because the cups is intuition and the initial aspect of duality, the suit of swords is the multiplication of that duality. It's the fragmentation of the world that occurs from the initial duality of the sacred feminine. When that happens, and only when that happens, only when the mind does indeed carve out reality into all these separate things, then we have matter. Then we have the suit of pentacles. The problem is the suit of swords keeps carving stuff out, and we don't even get a chance to rest and enjoy the materialization of our incarnation in the present moment. So for a lot of people, connecting to the intuition has to do with first connecting to the body, connecting to the present moment, what is physically in front of you. What that helps a lot of people do is bypass the overactive mind, the suit of swords, and enter into the abode of the sacred feminine in the suit of cups. And if you're a Crowley Thelemite or Thoth tarot nerd like me, awaken the eld of the Allfather. But again, that's another video. So let's get practical here. We know that the intuition includes the mind and the body, but we know that for a lot of us, the mind might be overactive. So a good way to bypass that is connecting with the body. Now I'm going to teach you a couple practical tools to connect with your intuition through the body. Next time you're overthinking yourself into complete indecision, I'm talking Eight of Swords, hoodwinked, bound up, you have no idea what to do, you're freaking out, follow this technique. Go into your body and notice what you feel. Here's the thing. The mind can lie to you all day long, but the body cannot lie. It literally cannot lie. The feelings in the body are true feelings that are showing you something that needs to be addressed. The work of David Hawkins is really influential on areas of kinesiology and the intuition, so I definitely recommend checking him out. But he's done all these studies that show that the body, the muscles in the body will strengthen around what is good for it and what is true for it versus things that are not good for the body. It will weaken. So for example, they did an experiment where there were these envelopes, and in some of the envelopes there was like vitamin C, and in some of the envelopes there was like, I don't know, something bad for you, I totally forget. And without opening the envelope, people's bodies would strengthen around the envelopes with the vitamin C in it, just because, who knows, the body just knew that there was something in there that was good for it. That's intuition, my friends. It can be as simple as that. So when you're facing a tough decision or you're not sure if you should proceed with something, check in with your body. If your body feels light and open, usually that's a yes. If your body feels heavy or contracted, usually that's a no. There, now you never need tarot again. All right, let's keep going. Another thing with the body is obviously very influenced by the nervous system, and if you're into energy healing, there's energy bodies. There's many different maps to this. But even if you don't believe in chakras and energy bodies, you probably believe in feelings, because if you're alive, you probably have them, right? Unless you're like a narcissist or something, I don't know. So here's another really fun tool that I teach my students is who does this belong to? Is this really mine? For a lot of us, being that we are open in some way, whether we're empathetic or whether we have sensitive nervous systems or we're just kind of hyper aware of things, maybe it's neurodiversity, maybe it's Maybelline, I have no idea. Whatever it is, a lot of the mystical misfits, that myself included, we are very aware and sensitive to energies or experiences. And so an important tool is to notice which of those energies are yours and which of them are somebody else's. Now, what you come to realize, and this is also in mysticism as well, and in more of the higher contemplative practices, is that none of your feelings or thoughts are yours. They're not even personal. They arise and fall in simple boundless awareness. We don't have to go that far in this video, but it's something to look forward to. In the meantime, simply recognizing that most of the feelings you have are probably not yours is an extremely liberating event. That's not to say you don't take responsibility for those feelings. In fact, taking responsibility for the feelings that arise in you gives you an even deeper level of freedom. But when you realize that they're not yours, you're not attached to them, you don't define yourself by them, and then that means you're not unconsciously run by them. What happens is when you continue to ask the question, is this feeling mine or is this somebody else's? You start to finally distance yourself from the energies that are showing up in your life because you realize that they're not you. The more you do that, the more you can clearly see what these energies are and the more clarity you have of your intuition. So I'm going to talk about exactly how this happens for my sensitives out there. So I'll give you a fun example using a personal example. So what happens to all of us is in the green, this is our body gets a reaction from something. Our body says, uh-oh, something's happening. Our body instinctually reacts to some sort of trigger. So personal example, it's years ago, Joe's going on YouTube and Joe sees a really mean comment from somebody who is very brave behind their keyboard, a very critical comment, very condescending. And so Joe's body says, oh my God, and tenses up and tries to defend itself and gets ready for action as if it's about to try to kill a tiger to eat or something, right? So unnecessary. Joe's mind then says, oh my God, this guy is such an asshole, screw him, but also I'm upset because he's kind of right and everything I do is worthless and I should just stop everything and quit my YouTube channel and just dig a hole and get in there and die. Right? The mind does crazy shit like that sometimes. But notice how the mind took the body's reaction and turned it into this whole thing that results of Joe getting in a hole and dying, right? Oh my God, so dramatic, right? The mind loves to do that. It loves to take something and fragment it into all these different directions. The intuition doesn't do that at all because the intuition is light. The intuition is like the transparent window that the light goes through, whereas like the mind and the body are kind of like, I don't know, I guess the window shades that really fracture the light and give it more form when it actually reaches the room. So years ago, if Joe had these tools, Joe would say, wait a second, are these feelings mine or are they somebody else's? And then simply asking the question, realizing that the essence of Joe and who I am and what reality is, my true being is infinitely bigger than the emotions that are arising from this silly little trigger. When people operate from that place, that's when brilliance happens. So as I've mentioned before, I'm somebody who has overcome a lot of depression and anxiety and, different things mentally. And it's this material that has helped me do just that. Learning that my intuition wasn't just trusting what makes me feel good, but allowing myself to distance myself from my body and my mind and look at them objectively. That is really what changed the game for me. I'm going to leave you with this last teaching that has changed my life. There is something beyond the intuition itself in red here. And there's many ways to interpret what that is exactly. But without going into a bunch of mystical philosophy, I'm going to show it to you right now. No matter what your gut tells you and your body tells you, no matter what your mind tells you, and it tells you a lot of stuff, I'm sure, notice how simple it is to just be aware in this moment. Notice how little effort it takes to be aware in this moment. I'm not talking about attention. I'm not talking about paying attention. I'm not talking about feeling things in your body or thinking things or what. I'm just simply noticing that you are right now. You're aware. Yes, you are aware. You're alive. And if you're not, please get help. But you're alive, right? You're present. Notice how easy it is to be present right now. If you take one thing from this video, I want you to know that no matter what happens in your mind or body or intuition, this presence is always the same. And this presence will never be touched or destroyed because it's never been created. It's always just been in this eternal moment. Thank you so much for jumping in the wormhole with me. If you'd like to learn more about tarot and how to read it, please click this playlist here. If you'd like to learn more about mysticism, non-duality, and things that will turn your mind inside out, check out this playlist here. And I strongly recommend that you subscribe and click the notification bell so that you're notified of future classes and lessons I give on tarot, mysticism, and beyond. Please comment below your thoughts, and I'd love to see you in the next wormhole. Much love.